So you take the deal, and you and I have talked about this before for my Dale versus Daytona book. December 1st, 1993, you start here at RCR. And Andy, I can't imagine how difficult a position that must have been in, because here you were, a new guy coming into a very well-established team that had a ton of success. I guess 4 championships at that time, 86, 87, 90, 91. And that must have been pretty tough.
It was. I mean, I knew the pressure was going to be there. I was up for it. Like I said, I really wanted to win that championship. I knew Dale was the best.
Yeah.
Everything was there. I knew that we could do it, but it was pressure. And I go in there without any people. I didn't bring any of my guys with me. Just walk into this thing. Kirk Shelmerdine had retired and walked out of the building there, but everything else he had built and everything was still there. And they were a pretty tight knit group.
Yeah,
as you can remember.
Yeah,
and so, I walk in the first day, and you can just kind of look around the shop, and it was a little different place than what I'm used to, and bigger. Everything was nicer, and all these banners hanging on the wall. They're still over there in the museum.
Yeah.
If you've been there lately, you'll see them. But it's like walking into the Boston Garden or something. Now I'm the head coach of the Celtic.
Okay.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Now I've got to go in here and figure out how to get the respect of these guys, and it took a while. Honestly, it was rough at first. And it was hard to get the respect of the guy.
Now, Richard, from what I understand, was pretty conservative when it came to the car. I think you made the analogy that if a 1/4-inch bolt would do, a little bit better bolt,
he'd want a 1/2-inch bolt.
Yeah, he'd want a 1/2-inch bolt. And the two of you didn't exactly see eye to eye on things. You wanted to be out, I guess, I don't want to say on the ragged edge a little bit more, but you wanted to kind of push the envelope a little bit.
I did, and I pushed him a lot past his comfort zone. Like I said, up to that point, they had been able to have real conservative equipment. As long as it stayed together, Earnhardt could figure out a way to get it to the front.
Right.
But the sport was changing. It was getting to the point where you couldn't just show up with anything. You had to start pushing the envelope some, and they realized that. And had their performance had fallen off the year before quite a bit. And so Richard knew that we were going to have to do some different things, but he wasn't quite ready for some of it. And it was, and like I said, it was aggressive things that we were doing, but they weren't, ridiculous. I mean, it was just pushing things a little past where he was comfortable.
Okay.
And we went. I think the Daytona thing was he always wanted to run the water temperature like 180. That was his number.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, we can't do that. I said, we've got to have it hotter than that. We got to run more tape on the grill. And he kept pushing back and pushing. I mean, for 2 weeks, you're down in Daytona for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Well, we end up winning the Bud Shootout or Bush Clash. Won the qualifying race, and I'm trying to sneak a little more tape on it all the time. Well, then he kind of lets me get away with it for a little while on those, and then but when the 500 came around, he wanted that thing cool.
Okay.
So we had, I don't even think we compromised much on it. I think he pretty much made me have a certain opening to make it run cool enough.
Right.
And we ended up losing the race to Dale Jarrett. And I remember in the garage, we were sitting there side by side, tearing the engines down, and look over at the 18, which Dale Jarrett had won in.
Yeah.
And it had about half the grill opening we did. And I looked at Richard. I said, right there's why we lost. It was after that he started letting me run more tape on the grill. Now,
how accepting was Dale of the changes that you wanted to make?
Dale was used to being, as far as the car and a lot of things like that, I think he was, he thought I was going to bring a lot of different tricks and all that stuff, and he was all game for that. But he's that dominating personality that he'd always been able to just kind of push his will on what anybody on the team. Kirk Shelmerdine just basically did everything he told him, and that wasn't my style. And so
you pushed back a little.
Oh yeah, I pushed back a lot. As a matter of fact, we didn't get along at all at first.
Wow.
And it was probably because we were too much alike.
Yeah.
Pretty hard headed, and it was going okay. I mean, like I said, we finished second at Daytona. I can't remember some of the other finishes, but we hadn't won yet. And Richard, he brings us into his office, which he still does. I was in there yesterday.
What'd you do?
But he brings Dale and I in there and says, "Look, guys, we've got to get on the same page here. I don't see the chemistry here. Yeah. We need to see if we're going to win races." And Dale's like, yeah, all right. He says, you guys need to bond a little bit. And, if you remember Dale, he goes, yep, all right, Richard, that's what we're going to do. We're going to bond. Me and Andy are going to bond. It's going to be good. He's over here, shaking my hand or shoulder and say, yeah, we're going to bond. We're going to Darlington. So he said, tell you what. He said, me and Trace are going out on Saturday night for dinner. I want you to come with us and, we're going to bond. Yeah. So I leave the meeting kind of just laughing and thinking, okay, we'll give this a shot. So we do that. And I'd use it as an opportunity to talk to him because I didn't get a lot of time at night during the weekends to really spend talking about the car. And so we were sitting there at the table, and I knew that there was going to be some challenges with the right front tire at Darlington because it was that kind of track, and the tire that we were running at the time was marginal. So I told him how we were going to go about practice, and it was probably going to involve failing that right front at some point because we wanted to figure out how much it would take.
Just to see how far it would.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
And he didn't like that. I said, the one thing about the tire, it will give you warning. And he says, all right, I'll take your word for it. So we go through this little exercise on Saturday practice. This was probably Friday night we went out to dinner. So Saturday practice, we do this whole thing and make a lot of changes on the car and run real long runs, every single one of them. And we end up winning the race. And I remember going into Victory Lane and looking at him when he was getting out of the car, and I said, that's how you bond right there.
That was in what, March?
Yeah, it was
March, April?
I think it was like the 5th race of the year.
Okay. Still, every car that you had run that year had been in the stable when you got here.
They were current cars.
Kirk had basically overseen construction, and RC had overseen it. The first one that you actually built from the ground up was one that you were going to run at Sears Point, and you changed pretty much everything from what you told me.
Yeah, that was the first, we hadn't had a chance, like I said, I came in December, so there was not a lot of time to, build up the fleet. We basically just had to kind of use what we had. There's a lot of things we changed along the way, but we had to use the current cars that were here. And so I looked at the schedule and the calendar, and I said, okay, I want to build an all-new car by Sears Point, and I was going to change every system, everything about the car was different. I mean, it was nothing like anything they'd had in there. And so it was like pushing a rope trying to get that done with all these people that.
And again, there was some pushback.
Oh, tons and tons of pushback because it was all different. There's so many things that were so much lighter. From the cooling systems to the brakes to every way the car was built was just different. So we get it done. Like I said, I had to push and push and push along the way against a ton of resistance because what do we need to build a new road course? We got one here, just won it, 2 years ago, whatever. Yeah. And so that's what I was fighting. And so we didn't get to test or anything. We just load it in the hauler. We go out to California. I remember, how serious it was for my career. I get out there and so we were taking a little while to get through tech, probably because I'm pushing a few things. I can't remember now. So we don't go on the track when everybody else does. We're a little bit late getting on the track. And so I finally go up on the hauler. Dale pulls out to go on the track, and Childress is up there clocking cars with his stopwatch. This was kind of before we had all the monitors and whatnot. And I get up there, and Dale goes by, and I click my watch, and he goes by, and I'm watching him go up through the up part of the track, and he comes down there, and I click it to stop the watch. And as I was getting ready to do it, I look, my hands are shaking.
Wow.
I was so nervous about that car being, because I knew if it wasn't good, I was done. My career probably over if that car didn't run. And I remember clicking the watch, looking at it, and going, I don't even remember what a good time is at Sears Point. We only go once a year. I look at it, and I look up at Richard, and I think I'm almost in tears. I'm going, is that a good time? He goes, yes.
You're off the hook, buddy.
I was so nervous. We ended up sitting on the pole.
Sitting on the pole.
So that it all worked out, and thank God it did because it could have gone either way.
You finished sixth in that race at Sears Point, and then the next two races, you went at Charlotte and you went at Dover. How much of the pressure did that relieve to kind of get get that weight off your shoulders a little bit?
It was a lot. I remember we tested for Charlotte. We had some issues within the team. Some mistakes were being made at the test, and Dale kind of goes off and gets on his high horse about some things. And finally, I said, "Time out, boys. I said, we're going to the truck. We're having a team meeting.
You're gonna bond again.
This is another little different bonding session." Danny Lawrence was in part of that deal, and he swears that was a turning point Because,
Really?
Yeah. Because
where was this at?
At Charlotte at a test.
Really? Okay.
So
yeah.
I basically told him, you just drive the car. I'll handle the team. And I didn't want him involved in it. Basically set some ground rules and said, this is the way it's going to be.
This is you talking to Dale Earnhardt.
Dale and the team in there. It was a really heart-to-heart thing.
Wow.
But it changed.
Now, was this before or after Sears Point?
This was after. It was after Sears Point.
All right.
But this was the turning point that really put us on the path to win the championship.
What was Dale's reaction?
I think he wanted that. He was the kind of guy that would push you as far as you would go. But if you pushed back, he respected you. I think he respected me for doing it. I think I did gain a ton of respect from him from then on. And,
what exactly precipitated that? I mean,
it was just some mistakes being made. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Somebody left a hood pin out, or I can't remember. It was one of the wrenches got left on the radiator top, which fell out on the track. It was just a couple of stupid little mistakes that we were making, but he was starting to lose his mind over it. And I said, just time out. That's not for you to worry about. You worry about driving.
Andy Petree, you are the man.